Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show, and I'm here to talk about some NFL news. Let's get right into it here. So, a few days ago, it was reported that Titans QB Malik Willis is listed as rookie second-round pick Will Levis on the official team site depth chart, and it's been talked about how Malik Willis has improved really good so far this training camp. He's ahead of him on the depth chart. But now it's reported the Titans are starting QB Malik Willis over rookie Will Levis today against the Bears in their preseason game, according to Stacey Dales, after it was reported that Malik Willis was ahead of him on the official team depth chart. So Ryan Tannehill obviously isn't playing. So the two QBs will play the entire game and will alternate every few series during the game. So I wonder who will end up being the Titans QB too. We'll see how they do in preseason. I know Blake Wilson's looked better in training camp, but that's training camp. Let's see how he actually looks on the field. And Will Levis. Let's see how those two actually look playing on the field. I'm not going to say Levis is really bad, because we'll just have to see how they look here in the preseason. See who will be the QB2, I guess. But I'm actually excited to see this competition play out. But they both have the potential to be good. We'll just have to see. So the highest pass block win rate last season, VSPN, here were the top four on the list. Creed Humphrey at 98.1, Landon Dickerson at 97.0, Zach Martin at 96.0, and Jason Kelce with a 95.5, and also attached the largest AAV by guards from NFL Live, the current contracts. Chris Lindstrom at the top with $20.5 million, Quentin Nelson with $20 million, Elton Jenkins $17 million, Brandon Scherf $16.5 million, Joe Bitonio and Joe Toney each $16 million, Wyatt Teller $14.2 million, and Zach Martin with $14 million. It's kind of baffling Creed Humphrey didn't make the NFL Top 100 with a 98.1 pass block win rate. Kind of crazy. Or even Joe Toney not even making it. But yeah, that's the highest pass block win rate. But going to the contract, Zach Martin being paid less than Wyatt Taylor, Joe Toney, Joe Bitonio, Brandon Scherf. He has to be at least be the first or second highest paid. Chris Lindstrom's a dog. He's really good. He should at least be in the top two in the contracts. How is Zach Martin only being paid $14 million a year? I mean, Landon Dickerson could be in the top 100 on this list as well. But crazy, two of these here are centers, and Creed Humphrey and Jason Kelce. Don't know how Creed wasn't in the top 100 though, or even Joe Toney could have made it. That's just disrespect for the Chiefs. So the Patriots, they have signed former USFL running back C.J. Marble. Per James Larson PFN, he was second in the league in the XFL, or in the USFL, was second in the league in 2023 with almost 1,100 all-purpose yards. He had 525 rushing yards, 235 receiving yards, 319 kick return yards with 5 total touchdowns. So it basically seems like the type of Patriots player was getting like 500 rushing yards. You have nearly 200, 300 receiving yards with a 200, 300 kick return yards. He seems like the type of Patriots player. I don't know. He just seems like that type of player that would fit with the Patriots. So there was some more stuff I want to talk about yesterday I didn't get to. Per report, former Vikings and Commanders cornerback Fred Smoot was arrested in Virginia on Thursday. Per TMZ, according to jail records, the ex-Washington Commanders cornerback was taken into custody at the Loudoun County Adult Detention Center at 10:58 a.m. and as of Friday morning yesterday, he remained behind bars. A spokesperson for the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office tells us he was but misdemeanor failure to comply with support obligation. And these former NFL cornerbacks are damn bad this week. That's the third day in a row a former NFL cornerback has been arrested. I don't know what, and basically he was charged with, it's never a good thing to be arrested, obviously, but basically what this means here, it was basically failing to pay his child support like the court order demands. It's basically child support. If you didn't understand what the tweet says, it's basically child support. It's basically why he got arrested. Piece of shit. Per the report, the Lions are signing a speedy wide receiver / returner Khalif Raymond to a 2-year extension. I mean, he sure is shifty. A 4.3 speed. I think it's a good move to bring him back for 2 years. Because he's a good receiver. So we talked about yesterday, the Saints are signing one of the videos I talked about, the Saints are signing former Cowboy second round linebacker. So the Saints are cutting former Texans wide receiver Keke Coutee to make room for linebacker Jaylon Smith. So they cut him just to get Jaylon Smith. It's wild. And it's a battle in mid. So, per Ian Rapoport yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, the Ravens running back J.K. Dobbins has talked to the team about a long-term contract per Ian Rapoport on the Pat McAfee show. I don't believe he's overrated. People say, oh, he's overrated. If anything, he's overrated. Or underrated. He's underrated, in my opinion. When he's played, he's only ever produced. And more importantly, I think he's underpaid. He's outperformed his teammate Gus Edwards since 2020, and yet he's made less than half during that same time frame. The man deserves some sense of financial security to get paid. At least in my opinion. So the Raiders are signing former Chiefs and Falcons running back Damian Williams. Per his agent Ian Greengross. Remember, he won that Super Bowl with Kansas City in the 2019 season, but now he's signed with the Raiders. Maybe this is adding depth while Josh Jacobs is away, and maybe this is depth in case Josh Jacobs holds out for an extended amount of time. Per Andrew Marchland, Deanna Rossini is leaving ESPN to become the Athletics top NFL insider. She was NFL insider for ESPN. But she's leaving ESPN to become the Athletics top NFL insider. They offered her a raise to stay, according to this report, but she chose to go to the Athletics. She had been with ESPN for 8 years and one of its main NFL reporters, appearing on all of its major NFL shows. I mean, ESPN offered her a raise, according to this report from the Athletic, according to this report, but she went to the Athletic. I mean, just because they offered her a raise doesn't mean as much as the Athletic. But ESPN fell off bad, man. 49ers will sign linebacker / DM Braylon Speaks, who led the USFL with 9 sacks last season. He was originally second round picked by the Chiefs. Now the 49ers will sign him, which is some good depth. Right there. Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo says he won't be featured on season 2 of the Netflix series Quarterback. Quote, he said, quote, "That's not for me." He says while his brothers love season 1, he hasn't watched it and it doesn't seem to interest him. So there's another quarterback that's turned down this Netflix Quarterback series. I mean, he could have been on it, but I think the lights would have been too bright for Jimmy Garoppolo. Chiefs defensive tackle Chris Jones has racked up $1 million in training camp fines so far, not showing up after holding out one in that new contract. GM Brent Beach said the team has no intention to trade Jones, who's seeking to become at least the second highest paid defensive tackle. Quote, "We're continuing to work to see if we can get something done," end quote, Beach said. "It's one of those things every team has to go through, so no team has the ability to avoid these situations. The more you win, the more you pay good players a lot of money. This is a situation we're working hard to get resolved," end quote. So he's racked up $1 million in fines so far in training camp for not showing up. He's holding out one of that new contract. At least want to be the second highest paid. But I feel like all these players who refuse to play are hurting themselves more than helping. Like, I know he's one of the better DTs in the league, and I feel like he deserves to be paid like it. But just to get holed out, though, it's crazy. Eagles linebacker Miles Jack, a former second-round pick by the Jaguars, admitted that he was considering becoming an electrician or plumber before Philly called him up this week. So before the Eagles got him, he was thinking about becoming an electrician or a plumber. I hope he can revitalize his career in a major way. Maybe be a surprising story this season. We'll see. Henry Ruggs will serve at least 3 years in prison and then be up for parole. He'll have to serve full 3 years at least, meaning he won't get credit for time previously served during house arrest. So that's crazy. He's only going to have to serve 3 to 10 years in prison, but 3 years in prison at least, 3 full years, and he can be up for parole. He shouldn't. He deserves longer. A woman and her dog literally burned to death in her car because he decided to get drunk and drive 156 miles per hour. 3 years is nothing. If that were like your child, mother, parent, grandparent, or any person you love, like your dog, cat, or anything in the car, you'd be disgusted and heartbroken over this if you're any of those. So only you have to serve 3 years and maybe be up for paroles. Terrible, but that's athlete privilege. I mean, that's just the privilege of being a athlete. So, another tough break for the Broncos with injuries. Top free agent signing they got, Mike McGlinchey. He's going to be out a few weeks with a knee sprain. I mean, it could be a lot worse. But we'll see if he can make it to week 1 of the regular season. Trevor Lawrence has turned down season 2 of Netflix series Quarterbacks and Justin Herbert. So that's 2 more quarterbacks to add to the list. I don't know what quarterbacks they're going to have at this point. They can be on this show. At this point. But yeah, that's really all the NFL stuff I want to talk about. So until next time, I'm out. Peace.